Hello, everybody, and welcome to the... Don't! How could you?
Hold on, are we introducing ourselves?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Patreon for Project Ghostlight. One of the first things that we really wanted to get on here and share with you was our proximity to the star of Salem's Lot, streaming on HBO Max.
Can we get this in like a big shot so they know that I'm also in the room with you?
No.
I just need people to
I'm
know.
just going to have to stitch everything together.
Stitch it for me so people can know that I was in the room with you.
Jokes aside, I'm Xander Jeanneret, and I'm hosting this little impromptu panel for a lot of you who are fans of New York by Night, one of the actual play tabletop shows from World of Darkness, and one that featured this cast on season 1. Why don't we go ahead and introduce ourselves and say what character we played, just in case anyone needs a refresher. It's been a few years.
Years.
Hi, I'm Alex Ford, and I played Isaac. Did Isaac have a last name?
I know he did. He's Isaac Brooks.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And I played Isaac Brooks.
Oh, wait, which
What
camera am I
clan were
looking
you?
at? Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, that's
yeah.
right. And I was Zamitzi.
Smoochy.
Yeah, I want like
Smoochy.
auto-generated captions to pop up just to do this game again.
Hi, I'm
You were a
Mayana.
gang girl for a while.
Yeah, not for long.
Hi, I'm Mayana. I played Seraph. She was a Ravnos. Seraph did not have a last name. Neither did her real name, which is Theodora, by the way.
Oh, wow!
Whoa! We're dropping lore.
That came out the show.
It was on the show.
Pay attention.
I'm sorry.
show.
I was focused entirely on myself.
That's a good thing, because you're next.
Hey, I'm Joey. I played Ray, who was stuck being a gang girl for the show. And this was my first time playing a TTRPG, really like on camera.
Was mine as well.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
and then I got to start by playing with this amazing person.
Sorry.
Both
That was
these
an
amazing.
interesting energy.
we were there. We just
What
wanted
camera?
to
I'm looking at this one.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Abria Iyengar. I played Margot Fuego Walker, the group's. I forgot everything.
You're the Ventru.
I know. Ventru.
Perfect.
You
No,
were so
that's-
much more than that. You
Yeah.
were the group's bottomless purse.
Yes.
You were
Disgusting
the
purse.
Killer of security guards.
Yes.
Yeah.
A real hoe.
Shooter of random civilians.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
One half of Rago.
There you go. That's why the seating chart was this.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
It does feel crazy that like we didn't know each other before and it was like sort of your first game and I was like, so welcome to a trial by fire. My character is obsessed with you.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Well, also, none of us had really met before we started the show, really.
No.
Like, you and I played a game in quarantine on Zoom together
Yeah.
briefly.
We were little Zoom buddies.
And then, like, I've known Joey forever, but then, like, I went to Mayana's playtest and played a game with you, and, like, that, and I was like, no, we're hiring her.
Nice.
And, like, it was...
Wait, you didn't have to do a casting couch? Damn.
That was just
the entire reason I'm doing this whole thing. No, it's but yeah, it was. We were really kind of all meeting, other than Joey and I doing this show. You know.
Well, yeah, I wanted to touch on sort of how everybody got involved besides coming in from the previous show. With you, Mayana, how did this come about?
Great question.
Yeah.
So I was not in the space at all.
Sure.
And
But now you are.
Now I am.
With a vengeance.
Let's
Right?
Very honored.
Yeah.
But yes, I got to the opportunity to audition, and I did the playtest with Alex, and I met Jason that night, and it was like a 3-hour like one-shot thing.
Yeah, you played a
Ventru.
Ventru, that's right.
Yeah.
And I was playing a gangrel.
Yes.
Yeah.
We vibed immediately though.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, because you had things. You had
vision.
You have to
you
say.
had a fucking like
A what?
a purpose. You had ideas and things you were
casting
going
couch,
for, and you were like, no, I have objectives. That's what I was looking for. You had objectives in what you
Gotcha.
were doing, and I was like, oh great, we can have a conversation.
Yay! I'm so glad, and it was
Yeah.
so fun. I remember after I left the audition, I was driving like a crazy person.
Sure.
Like, my adrenaline
Thinking about
was
it.
insane. I was just like, and then Jason DM'd me on Twitter and offered me the role.
Wow. Of all places.
Yeah, I remember when Twitter was good and
It was called Twitter back then.
Yeah.
It had a little bird.
Right.
It had a little
For you
bird.
children, it was once called Twitter.
Back when we filmed this first season, it was
Yeah.
called Twitter.
That's true. That's
Fair.
true.
Yeah.
Well, and then Joey, you were involved behind the scenes for LA by
Yeah,
Night.
so I was working at Geek and Sundry when we did LA by Night season 1. That was like my first week at Geek and Sundry.
Yeah.
Was the launch of that show.
Shut up.
And I think I
Amazing.
missed the first 3 or 4 episodes.
Sorry,
but
I missed like 2 of those.
I was gonna say, I
Because I
still
replaced
did.
you.
Oh my god.
I still did more episodes on the first one than you
Yeah.
did. I remember that.
But who's keeping track?
Right, and then like from being a technician on it, it was kind of like me and Holly and Jose wanting to literally wanting to be at the table with the players.
Yeah.
And so we would figure out things to do with the lighting and the screens and stuff like that. And that's how all that came about. And then from there, Jason and I just kind of kept on talking story and plot and lighting effects. And, it became a thing of he was just going to reveal story things to me. And I'm like, yeah, we can figure out how to do something with that. And then
Dope.
that evolved into directing seasons 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
Go.
And
Yeah.
then playing in New York.
Well, no.
You were also playing.
You were also
That's
in
true.
LA by Night.
You were the
got-
family.
yes.
So that's where it came about of
You got a taste for it and then
Yeah.
got zapped.
I love going from director to actor. What
Well,
a reversal. I really want to act.
no, but it is that thing of we need we need one more body to be in this scene. We're finishing up everybody's stories. We we literally just need someone to throw on a dress shirt and
And he did throw on that.
hey, you come in here.
Well, because Jason had 2 characters within the, if I remember correctly, 2 characters within the story that were NPCs he was playing that were you and Holly.
yes, that were based on
Based on you and Holly, and so you stepped in to
Yes.
be that character that was
so
based on
cute.
Holly.
That's
and
really
Holly's character died.
Yeah.
yeah.
And me not long after.
Yes.
Sure. And then Abria, how did you get involved with New York by Night?
This is a really funny, just go with me way back to 2021.
God.
Whoa.
Where there was a bit of a moment where I walked around yelling on Twitter when it was still fun to do so that I was here to take every dungeon master's job.
Yeah, I remember that.
What a soul.
I believe you.
Yeah.
Which then turned into a very fun conversation, I believe, on Twitter and then in DMs about if there's anything in the future we should do, do you want to continue the bit? Which then turned into actual legitimate talks about playing. He's like, 1, you're not serious enough to be a storyteller. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna take that personally and then make every comedy show I run from now on horrifying.
I love it.
This is my 3-year-long audition to be a storyteller.
Right,
I'll
right.
poison D20 to prove to you.
I think you've already gotten the job.
Yeah.
I think you might be
Right.
the most storyteller person. that
Yeah, why
knows
am I
story-
storytelling this game?
that told the story on Earth.
But that was where it started, and it was really fun because that year was kind of a blur. But then I remember coming and the group was all together, and I remember walking into.
It was like a coffee shop.
It was a coffee shop.
Yeah, it was a coffee shop near
I got hot chocolate.
my house.
Yeah,
It was a good coffee shop.
Yeah.
We met at this weird coffee shop, and it was just let's talk about characters, I guess.
Yeah, it was such a fun the vibe was there immediately, and that's one of those things that you can't manufacture.
No.
When it happens, you have to chase it with your whole chest. So I do remember driving home and feeling crazy after that, going the vibes were great, and that was the first time I had met 2 of the people there. And the other 2 in physical space.
Yeah.
We had not been in the same room. I was
No.
oh, you're tall.
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're tall.
I was like, oh, you're tall, not tall for an actor, which is 5'6".
The weird quarantine thing of not knowing
Yeah.
anybody's heights
Yeah.
because some people were on laptops so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
looked like
Yes.
giants,
Yeah.
and some people put their cameras on their bookshelves.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
oh yeah, you must be really short. That's the
Yeah.
only explanation.
Yeah.
Previously speaking of this reminded me of a quick lightning round that we're going to do.
Ooh.
Since we've introduced all of the characters. Coffee Shop AU.
Oh, hell yeah.
What would your characters do in the Coffee Shop AU version of New York by
Oh,
Night?
if we all worked at a coffee shop.
Worked in a
Yeah.
coffee shop, alternate universe. We can start. Abria, do you
Yeah,
have
I'll
an
start.
idea? Where would Fuego be in the line?
Fuego would absolutely be one of those managers that is actually going to be the first one to be fired. She's late. She does not care about anyone's schedule.
She runs it like the Navy.
Exactly. She grabs cash all the time, and it's truly a mystery to why she hasn't been fired and sued. I think it's just like she's the personality hire in the group, and they're like, I don't know, man. No one ever gets mad when she's working. Like everyone's happy, and she's like, yeah, I steal all the time. Don't worry about it.
Try hooking with the building manager.
Yeah, the rent's cheaper.
Speaking of which, what's Ray doing?
Yeah.
Ray is 100% the.
This is a Brooklyn coffee shop for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's not in the Bronx.
It's gotta be in the Bronx.
Oh, yeah, it's gotta be in the Bronx.
It's gotta be in the Bronx.
It's funnier.
It's your territory.
It's not.
We all
Yeah.
commute from the Bronx.
We all
to
Brooklyn.
We don't give up on any ownership of the Bronx.
It's a Bronx themed coffee shop in Brooklyn.
Done.
I'm changing the whole story of the show.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's season 3, guys.
Yeah.
So I think it would be that he's the accountant that would actually be a very, very good accountant if it
Covering
wasn't
Franny.
his fault that the windows were broken all the time and stuff like that. Yeah. So he's moving money around to cover up the fact that he's the one breaking shit.
And he's mad about it.
Yeah, which makes him more mad, which makes more stuff
Never-ending
break.
cycle.
That's very fun. It's called Port Porous, and you can't just pour like coffee. And
That's
Port
good.
Porous.
That's
Wow.
good.
Thank you. That's why Alex saw me a light on. I was like,
Yeah, I was like, got something.
Oh my God, I think Seraph is either the main cashier who is also a personality hire, or she's a local artist who is like
Oh, we got
sitting
such
there,
a cool art wall.
sitting there all day, and who's just like, why is no one buying? Why is no one buying it?
Seems a bit pedantic to me,
Yeah.
but whatever.
what's Braun doing there?
Braun's a customer, and I've got a membership.
The AU crossover that I need is Braun and Sarah
Finally hanging out.
my God.
That was. We'll talk about it in a second.
Yeah, we have to come back to
But
that.
I gotta find out what Isaac's is doing, besides the interior design of the place.
Yeah,
Isaac does incredible latte art. Questionable flavors.
So I can see
That's
Sarah
actually great.
like at the till, and then just like Isaac
Yeah.
behind there
Like-
doing actual the.
Yeah, with like implements that are
sculptural-
not part of an espresso
How are you
machine.
getting those colors?
Yeah.
How is he using a scalpel? Where did you get a
Yeah,
scalpel?
Yeah.
He's an artist, okay?
Okay, sure. It's
He's
fine.
telling a story.
You
It's
can't
not
rush
just a little Shiba Inu. It's a Shiba Inu with trauma.
Look, I understand that and I hear it, but can we talk about the fact that every latte he makes tastes just like anise? Like,
That's what
it's the only
That's
syrup.
what
There's-
I like about
There's
it.
hundreds of syrups back here. Don't
All
just
right.
use the
All the
spooky
syrups
ones.
are using the same flavors. It took me so long to remember how to do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm really
Slowly, it's coming back.
Like, I'm
It is really funny to like lock in and you're like,
Wait, hold
oh,
on.
I missed
Yeah.
it.
Can I speak to Ray for a moment?
Oh, no, I thought I went under the radar on that one.
Oh,
man.
Ray.
No, I don't.
Ray, I just want to know because I don't think we got to find out if you're comfortable divulging this.
You have to.
When Ray tried to go back to where he was from originally, what happened? You mentioned you dropped a breadcrumb. of,
Oh,
like, something
sure.
bad,
Yeah.
but you never really got into it.
Yeah, I guess my.
If you want to, this is the hard-hitting question.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me be so
My-
clear, you have to answer.
Yeah.
My vision of it was that, like, however hard a transformation is into, being kindred, Ray, like, raw dogged that by himself. And just like, I'm going to lock myself in my penthouse and figure it out.
Right? Just
Like-
real buff and doing.
Yeah,
like,
just like Windows. No, turns out Windows are a bad
Yeah,
thing.
you're, like, testing.
ordering delivery. Nope, can't do that. Guess I'm gonna eat the delivery person. It's that trial and error that he went through himself, and then like one day the people at the door were the Camarilla.
Yeah.
And then has to get out of there. Like
Right.
that, so it's that
It's
long
kindred related.
process.
The issue that happened, and then for Fuego, I was interested for the character perspective. Were you told that you were Rafferty's child? Okay.
Rafferty was my build. Like I built him as my backstory.
Yeah.
No one was more surprised than I was in season 2. I was like, oh, he's here a lot.
He's our boss.
That's so
I built
interesting.
Argos.
Oh!
My build.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was just my little dad that
Okay.
was gonna have a real
Separate
weird
question then.
yeah.
Okay, like, how did that feel seeing like an NPC from your backstory come to life in a way that was a little bit out of your control?
Yeah, I think it's very fun. I think there's something inside of like playing a lot of RPGs and releasing any sense of being precious about the things that you
Yeah.
love. Like there's things that I hope will come from like the backstory that Jason and I talked about, but the moment it like hits the road and the moment other people start to interact, you're like, he could become something like wildly beyond the scope of my expectations, and like the little like, this is exactly who he is to Fuego. And getting to see the aperture open up and see like what more he could become to another
Right.
like group and to the story writ large is actually very cool.
Yeah.
Like no part of it was like, well, he's supposed to be like my little like, sugar daddy. But,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's
he can
my
do that
guy.
too, but
But-
now it's a
Maybe
lot.
sugar daddy do a lot of.
But he was.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't remember if you all met Falklov.
we did.
No,
did.
you did.
We didn't.
That you
Oh,
did.
you
I don't know.
didn't.
I still have a boon from him.
Yeah, you did.
Dang.
Well, and
He's
then
got my Kindle.
Then
on
you
the
all know about me.
yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
So, like in a similar way, you were kind of our boogeyman
Yeah.
in that we.
I
heard,
love that so much.
Right? I wondered, how did you feel about that?
That was very funny for me because that all happened in my solo episode thing
Yeah.
that you all
Yeah.
were in. After we had all had that like a
Right.
big argument and we all went off and did our own shit, and Isaac was very much like, well, I still have things I need to get done. And so it was he went.
Isaac was the only one chasing plot the whole
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
It was so funny.
So I had to go get the skull we needed.
Yeah. And you did.
Yeah, and so
And
then
whose
I.
warehouse was that?
That was it. Was that Rafferty's warehouse?
Rafferty's
warehouse.
And who Isaac has no knowledge of.
No,
Does not care.
Doesn't care at
That's
all.
who we were going to check on. That was our
Yeah.
boss's warehouse.
So also I have to. You in
Spoilers.
TV land.
TV land.
I understand dominate doesn't work the way I use it. The problem is, in a previous show called LA by Night, it was used that way.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have never played, at that point, a kindred with dominate before.
You
So
just
I-
copy pasted
Yeah.
I just
from
copy pasted
LA by
how it
Night.
was used from LA by Night in my brain, and then you were all kind enough to inform me that it doesn't work that way. I understand it doesn't work that way. But I used dominate to cheat my way through an entire warehouse of
loved
bad
it.
guys.
It worked because we did the same
Yeah.
thing. We
Yeah.
dominated them too, and then
Also, I defy anyone who like has a problem with that to like take a full-throated like
Yeah.
order from Alex to the dome and not do exactly what he says.
100%.
You can't do it. So that
100%.
wasn't like a power being used wrong.
No.
Jason Carl was just
like,
in
yeah,
that
I have-
moment like, okay, whatever you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing was is that because I dominated, I succeeded in every dominate check except for one, and that was the one. That was why the information got out. And
Yeah.
then you were all able to. They were able to because my command was, "Don't talk about me."
Yeah.
Or you-
oh,
and,
that,
like-
that was what created all the issues.
Yeah. So
'cause they
then
couldn't.
Love
they
that.
couldn't talk about
Yeah.
me, which is not how it works. And
Hey.
Said keep my name
Out your mouth.
then when you all went to talk to them, apparently, from what I heard,
Yeah.
is that they couldn't really talk about me, but you got this insane description of a monster.
Yeah.
Yes.
The
Because-
roundabout way of
Because
trying to.
that was also the first time that my vicissitude had manifested.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So instead of using, because up until then I just had the Protean clause.
Yeah.
He held all of his like points, like his skill points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that he
Yes.
could do that. It was
Yeah.
so
So
cool.
I purposely at the beginning of the show I had left experience put away to at a narrative moment to develop vicissitude because I didn't know what it was, and because
Delicious.
You wanted to
in
learn.
V5
Yeah.
vicissitude is an amalgam power with dominate and Protean, and so it was, and also anyway.
Nerd.
But it's also just one of those things of like, you know this game so well
Yeah.
that you literally had experience to spare.
Yes.
Right.
Going into this, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk circles around everybody. I don't need
No. Yeah,
to
yeah.
use
Yeah.
everything quite yet.
Need it.
Well, and I also didn't use. I only had 2 disciplines. Isaac only has 2 discipless.
Yeah.
Isaac has dominate and Protean.
I'm good
Yeah.
at 2 things.
I didn't
but
take.
very good.
He
do
has
these
no
2
access to the
things.
animalism part of his of his ness.
Amazing.
But yeah, so that was when it manifested. Was during that scene that my fingers grow and I have these bone spikes and the whole thing. And then he was incredibly happy about it. But that led to
Yeah.
derailing your entire coterie.
Right, which was great. That's
yeah.
one of the aspects that I loved about the 2 coterie thing
Yeah.
is seeing the repercussions. Like that was
Yeah.
really
Ripple
interesting.
effect.
Yeah.
That was,
So one thing I wanted to talk to you about was
Yeah.
at where we left Seraph off. It was sort of like open-ended. Did you have a trajectory? And again, we don't want to get into too many specifics in case we revisit this. But is there something that's like sticking in your mind of like immediately this is what I was going to do?
Absolutely. Yeah, several things. One, I'm gonna use that boon.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so mad.
burning the hole in your
didn't get to
pockets.
use the boon. I was starting to branch out all the different options that Seraph had for her mom.
Yeah.
So yeah, because like
Either
Jesus,
Angela
right.
or
Fuck. Yeah.
or whatever the name
Angela
was.
and
Angela and
Michael.
Argos, those are the parents. Oh,
Because also Angela was one of my ghouls,
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
made the
Oh,
weird.
so-
That was a mix-up with
Yeah.
like the name.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Wait.
We had
name wasn't
names too close
Angela.
problem where
Right.
like
But
It was something else.
Yeah.
It was something close.
Angelica or something.
yes,
Yeah.
but Jason mistakenly called her Angela in our season, so that's what we
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
latched onto.
So,
but they acknowledged
and
that
in
it's
case
wrong.
no one noticed, it was Angela and Michael.
Yes.
Michelangelo.
That's so good.
it's because
Because-
Isaac loves the Ninja
Yeah.
Turtles.
Because Raphael Rafferty, like I see how it's all coming together.
Yeah, the entire
we all love
season was just
pizza.
about
Yeah,
Ninja
yeah.
Turtles.
Oh my
So
god.
the next big bads are Leonora
Yeah.
and Don.
Dawn.
Yay. But yeah, so I was trying to figure out what to do about the mom. That was like the thing that I was going to strategize. So like the three pathways I thought of were like I would become the sire to my own mom.
Huh?
I would kill my mom, or I would kill Argos, or I would use the boon to somehow like get one over
Yeah.
on Argos.
Yeah.
Those were the things
options.
that I was running through.
Love that.
But I learned so much working on that. I mean, that was my first actual play ever.
Yeah.
Yay!
And then you sat next to me, and I was like,
I love putting a new kid next to an old dog and you're like,
It was
I'm
so fun.
feral.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was just like,
yeah, I know. That was funny because I was so, that was so wild. Because LA was so different than New York.
Yeah.
As far as like the vibe on set and everything, like it was so different and like
Especially the first season of LA, because
Yeah.
we were live.
oh,
the
right.
first 2 seasons of LA. I think it was 2, or was it 3?
Three, yeah.
3 seasons we were live.
It is actually like a crazy thing to talk about though, because can you imagine how different the series would have been if you two had switched seats?
Yeah.
Like just something as simple as that. Like
Yeah.
the series would have gone so different.
1,000%. We would have been like there is something inside of like when you're sort of a vet at a table and you're like, good, I'm gonna take the person close to me, keep them under my wing,
Yeah.
like immediately make a connection. What does it feel like I can be a good foil for you for? And the fact that your pairing was so immediately like older brother, like
Yeah.
bratty in the nice
Yeah.
way, kid sister.
Yeah.
And then the fact
man.
that you were like so serious and like stayed, it
Yeah.
felt very obvious to me to like, oh, my job and my game is to break into
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
that you're building.
Oh
Totally.
my god, y'all.
So yeah,
My
Fuego
job
was
was-
informed by
Yeah.
what you came out with, and I was like, oh, I'll shape her to be a foil for you.
See, and that's the mark of a really good player.
Right?
Because she just came in and went like, oh, yeah, I will just be Play-Doh and like mold to the situation.
Conversely, my job was to make Mayana stay in one place until she burst into flames.
There's
And we
different
got
ways to
close.
I love that dynamic about like your two clans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like your two clans, like
especially being new.
Yeah.
Table in the actual play space, we hadn't really seen them.
No,
portrayed.
yeah. Well, because when we started New York by Night, both Ravnos and Tzimisce had just been introduced into V5.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because canonically, or not canonically, in the history of the real world, there was a period of time where there were some not great things in World of Darkness,
Yeah.
and Tzimisce and Ravnos were 2 of those things.
Yeah.
So they, with 5th edition, did amazing work to bring them back into the fold, to having removed the problematic elements of them and rewritten them to be much more interesting.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
And,
I love Ravnos.
I love Ravnos, I love Tzimisce.
Yes.
And so it was very fun to then, with our particular things of Tzimisce wanting to, in V5, own things and make them be around themselves,
Yes.
and you needing to change
move.
locations
All the
before
time.
you start burning was very fun.
It was
Yeah,
so
yeah. We
good. I
never-
was hoping we'd get to a place where,
Yeah.
it would actually be like.
Because I was just going to
contentious
start
moment.
dominating you to stay in one place. Like that was my plan.
I've seen what you've done.
So
us.
for people who may not be familiar, Ravnos specifically,
Yeah.
that's why they are nomadic, right?
Yeah.
It's part of their bane.
If they stay in the same mile radius for longer than 7 days, they will burst into flames, as is their curse.
That's so fun.
Isn't that great?
Yay!
It's so fun.
we didn't even play for 7 days.
I know.
In the
We got
future.
so close.
In the future.
That's so interesting. I didn't know that was your strategy.
Yeah, well,
That's
that,
really
the thing
cool.
with, like, and this is, I'm sure people have picked up on this, Isaac is a sociopath.
What?
Yeah.
No.
He has
I can
no,
fix him.
he has
Yeah,
no,
I can
like,
fix him.
he has no like moral compass essentially. He has no ability to like know other than what benefits him. He doesn't know, basically doesn't not know, but doesn't care what right and wrong is.
Yeah.
So his whole thing is like he needs to own people. That's why he has these two ghouls. That's his driving thing. Is the whole thing of Tzimisce is a dragon on top of their horde. So that was his horde was people. And as soon as he met all of you, he's like, great, you're all staying at my house.
Yep.
And then it was just anytime there was a problem where you wanted to go away, it was like, no, I don't want that.
Yeah.
But then everyone just immediately from the get-go accepted everything Isaac said as like, oh, he knows more than us. And I was like, great, yeah, I do.
I feel like I'm gonna give the game away. So if we come back for when we come back for season 3, I'll have to do an interesting pivot with Fuego.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was definitely fun to clock that above
Yeah.
table and go like, oh, the thing that I built into Fuego. Like, people were clocking the like disconnect between how much Fuego actually knew and the fact that she was like Rafferty's child.
Yeah.
Like, did he really like turn her and dump her without any information? It was absolutely like Fuego's soft Ventru power of just like, oh, is that what you need? You need us to be around and like loyal to you? I will feed you exactly what you want. As like, and that was like the sort of reverse of like how she hooks into people too.
Yeah.
Like you.
I'm gonna make you think I'm giving you what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
I
it's always
want-
been her strategy. So it was really fun. I was like, oh, we never got to the point in season 1 where
pay that off.
Yeah, to start to pay that off. Of, like how much of this
and
is
like, yeah, I think that Ray was gonna go down almost the exact opposite path, see what was going on, call him out blatantly, and then sound like the crazy one for doing that.
Right.
And it was just like, I want to call you out on everything and fail spectacularly
Well, that was the
doing
thing.
it.
You started doing it at the end of the season when we had our big argument, and I just completely was just like, no, you're just a beast. Like,
Yeah.
I was just-
Oh yeah, that clip I watched that
God.
clip the other day. It's like because La Sombra are not animals.
incredible.
And just to be clear, we all talked about this shit above board, so I wasn't
Yeah.
gaslighting
This
other
was all
players.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk a little bit about that process because coming into playing a World of Darkness game, especially how we do it, can get very emotionally intense.
Yes.
There's a concept of bleed coming in and out of a game where the experiences seem to stick with you. Was there anything that not only you talked about ahead of time as a group of like, hey, we're going to go into this territory, or is there anything that stuck with you afterwards that was sort of unexpected?
God. Dang, that's a great question. I do remember, I think, the night before we shot the finale. Honestly, I mean, like, the first day, I was like, wow, that was...
Right? It's a trip.
That was the craziest thing. And I remember I went home, I was in a blanket, and I watched Comey Can't Communicate on Netflix.
Sorry, sound.
Real,
Good call.
it saved me. I was like, this is great.
Yeah.
And then I came back and I was like, let's get hurt again.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think like every scene I had with you was like so rich and interesting. And honestly, I think my regret, I think to this day, is that like I didn't give you more about Seraph in that first scene that we had in your house together. I think about that a lot of like I should have just given more of that.
I want to defend that.
Yeah.
I'm honestly like on record for being a huge advocate of like the secret's not important. It's the like how it's revealed.
Yeah.
But there is something in the like early days as a new player, and World of Darkness games, Vampire specifically, operate in a slightly different like space.
Yeah.
You have to hold some of your stuff closer to the vest.
Yeah.
I think it is a part of these kinds of games where you're like, the things left unsaid, and then you like have like the group text where you're like, oh, the thing I should have said and I want, but
and also to yes, and that is that we at that moment in time thought we would be filming more seasons more quickly.
sure.
Oh yeah.
True.
that's
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So quick view behind the curtain. Seasons 1, 2, and 3 were supposed to be shot in 1 month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we literally had the stage rented for a month. It's a lot cheaper and easier to get all that to happen when you're booking everything for a month.
Yeah.
And like the budget was literally built off of the fact that everything was going to be cheaper because of it.
Yeah.
Massive complications came up, in the world that made it so season 3 couldn't continue forward.
Yeah.
And then like that's been the first hurdle of getting season 3 to happen. It's just like spinning it up means that it actually takes more than it was originally supposed to.
So that was part of it. But at the time, we were all working under the idea
Yeah.
that we would have more time to reveal these things.
That's a great point.
1000%.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point.
Especially because we established it with LA by Night of it was sort of a season a year sort of
Yeah.
thing-ish. in a way.
I like
Okay.
when Alex gets like thrown back.
Other quick lightning round AU.
Yes.
You have Freaky Friday switched with your character. I'm going to ask about each of your sort of like professions and see how well they do. So we'll start with you, Alex.
Yeah.
How is Isaac's day on set as a creature actor?
my God.
Way easier than mine.
Yeah. Is that where he pulls out his
That's true. No
vicissitude?
makeup.
Yeah, like that's like.
Is that a masquerade breach?
I mean,
Only if they know.
Only
Only if they know.
Only, unless I was.
How would they know?
How would they know?
They're gonna
my
know.
makeup artist.
They're gonna know.
No, I think he
Someone's
does
gonna
fine.
know.
He has no like Isaac is good at being who he needs to be when someone's watching him. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like he can kind of chameleon that way, and he can alter his body shape. So like
Heck yeah.
that super is helpful. I wish I could do that. But yeah, and I think he does fine. He probably does better than I do.
How about Seraph is like the head of a writer's room?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Video game writing. Seraph is. I think Seraph would probably be a lot bolder than I am when I'm having creative differences. I think she'd probably be like, "No, he's saying it this way." And if you don't like,
It's my artistic vision.
This is my vision. He has to understand. But yeah, I think she'd probably do good. But I think she would also probably like roll in and be like, "We're throwing it all out. We're starting over. It's a new video game now." Yeah, I don't know how that would go over. But yeah.
You got to move studios every
Exactly.
Sunday.
Oh my
Exactly. Like, I'm done with my contract.
Bye.
I'm moving on. I am a hired gun. I will not be back here.
Yeah.
The ultimate freelancer. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Well, how about Ray at a Formula One race?
Oh my god.
Weirdly, I think I channel Ray at work.
Sure.
Because like
he's
working
more busy
in
than her.
pit lane, it's very much like you don't have time to be nice to people. There's a car coming in, you're probably pushing them out of the way to save them. So it's like, like there is no being nice, and like
Yeah.
it's the talk after that
affected.
just wouldn't happen.
Right. The aftercare.
Yeah, yeah. That's all.
Thank you. I said it in my heart,
It would
in
just
my mind.
become a why were you here? And that's about it.
Yeah.
It'd be fine.
Incredible.
And then for Fuego, what season would she run on an actual play series? And then what system would she
It would 100% be, she's like, I'm gonna run a court of Fame Flowers, but
Yeah.
I did not do the reading, so I don't really I watched like an episode of Bridgerton. I did have sex in the middle of it, so I wasn't really following the plot.
They were having sex at the time.
Yeah, and
Right?
so I felt
Yeah.
like,
It was like a
oh, this is-
tutorial.
Yeah.
it felt like,
That's tutorial.
an
That's
easy
4D.
orgy. Yeah. She would do a terrible job. She would have bleed constantly.
Sure.
And would catch fifis for everyone.
Catch
God.
Catch
Yeah.
Fifi's nut flights.
Right.
But going back to the bleed
Yeah.
thing, it's weird. The bleed for Jasper versus Isaac was
Sure.
very
I
different.
can't imagine.
Interesting.
Isaac didn't have a lot of bleed. There was not. He was not like it was. It was kind of my purpose to be an emotional character after playing a very emotional character for
Yeah.
5 seasons. But there were times where like I would worry that I was too like harsh or direct or weird, and like because I would push. I kind of push people's buttons, specifically Joey's.
That's what you do with the people you're close with. You're
But
like,
yeah, but I was like,
A big button.
yeah.
He's all
You're
button.
one big butt.
I was like, there were,
Oops, all buttons.
there were times where I was like, is that okay? I did that? But yeah, there were definitely times with Jasper that I had to like, when I would go home and I'd be like, why do I feel like absolute ass? Yeah. And I'd be like, oh, just because I was sitting as a miserable person
Yes.
Yeah.
for like 8 hours
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Feels
it was
real.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because your
There
body
is-
doesn't know the difference between
that.
make believe and real. So
God.
like, you know.
Yeah.
I don't consider that normal bleed, but it is one of those things where you're like, oh, I sat in too big an emotion for too long.
Yeah.
And you can like feel the disconnect. You're like, mentally, I'm having a great day.
Right.
I will not stop crying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
that was absolutely.
That was the finale for me.
Right.
Of just
Yeah.
the like I don't understand what is happening to me. I am just gonna keep on trying to talk.
We got like
through
safety boba
this.
afterwards.
Yeah, totally.
It was good boba.
Good practice.
It was good, nice boba.
And that's a very, like, for the record, what you did was one of the hardest things to do in actual play. In acting, where you're like, we're gonna run a scene and everyone knows like exactly what they do and it's blocked and it's choreographed, it's like a dance. But when you are operating from your intelligence, it gets personal immediately because your brain is fighting for
I felt
itself.
betrayed. I felt like,
So,
whoa.
Yeah.
It was so good. You were so good.
It was so good.
And I just want you to know, like, for the record, because we talked about it before, the thing that he did was incredibly hard and excellently executed. Like, that
agree.
was a pro, like, absolutely in their bag.
I am gonna
amazing.
Thank you. I'm going to deflect that immediately.
Please don't.
And
Roll around in the compliment.
No, but like one of the things that I did want to like look at on that, like because you were talking about like playing from your intelligence. The one thing I really wish I hadn't done was watched your private solo game, because I watched it on the screen and I knew information about that and immediately went, oh, I don't know any of that information.
Sure.
So when you came into the finale and told us about the warehouse, I did not like connect that at all. And I should have just been like, oh, he told us about the warehouse. I need to fucking lay into him about the fact that the Camarilla have a warehouse here. And that just didn't come up. And I was like, her gun.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of the rules I
Look,
set.
we'll
Oh, that was the thing I didn't know.
Yeah.
That was
Shit.
one of the rules that I set down with Isaac, is
That's
that
really
Isaac
funny.
is never going to tell you anything that you didn't specifically ask him about.
Yep.
And that's playing vampire, as you mentioned.
Yeah, so it was like anytime you asked me a specific question, I would give you an answer that Isaac wanted, the answer that Isaac wanted you to get, not the correct answer.
Yeah.
And then anything you didn't ask about, he was never going to tell you because he needed you to keep coming back to him for information.
Oh my God.
You know, it was
loved
like,
it.
His own ventureness in a way.
yeah. Well, there is a weirdness with the way like you can see Tzimisce versus Ventrue in it.
Sure.
Like everybody compares La Sombra and Ventrue as being like the mirrors of each other,
Right.
but there is a weird like business owner mentality to Tzimisce that like, La Sombra control church versus business, the Ventrue, the business vampires. But there is a like sort of like Tzimisce are landlords kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like this, there
Been
are
there.
similarities, and they do share similar disciplines, i.e., dominate, and like, so it is. They have a kind of a reverse way or a mirrored way of thinking sometimes, which can lend them to butt heads a lot, or also just be like, see through each other, but also be like, okay, I need to be extra cautious around this person. You know, it's like,
It is very fun. I do like the like difference between Ventrue and La Sombra. Like, it's that idea of like a dragon hoards objective like wealth, and whatever that is personal to the kindred. For Ventrue, it is absolutely an explicit like, do I have the power to get what I want from any group of people I'm around? And that was the thing that I really enjoyed playing inside of, because like a lot of Ventrue that I've seen in actual play are very like, I'm going to walk in the room and be the boss of this room. And I was like, that's a very like patriarchal understanding of power. What do we call like feminine soft power? It's the ability to get what I need and make it feel like it was your idea.
yep.
It literally that, and also like, oh my God, like yes, all of that. But like, I loved that you were exploring such a feminine character.
It was fun. I've never really delved in that. So that was like a weird, it wasn't a bleed thing, but it was a thing I had to go home and process and be like, oh, I feel like I'm sitting in something, not that feels disingenuous, but you feel like you're heightening a part of your own personality. Be like, okay, what are the edges around this?
Right.
What do I consider like a feminine tack to win an argument? If I had to fight with like a hyper feminine version of myself, what tactics do I expect? And those were the things that were built into Fuego as we went.
It's kind of weird because,
No, I was gonna say, like, also a character that could immediately regret things. Like that was such just
with the consequences.
that is not even a thing that I think many players even think about, of like, I want to, because everyone gets so focused on, I want to do the right thing. I want to do the most optimal thing in this moment.
Min-max.
And just being able to go, I want to make the worst decision for my character, and then have my character immediately realize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, please.
No, you say words.
No, I was literally talking about this the other day. I was doing a different interview for
what?
For Salem's Lot?
No.
Stream it now on that.
For a LARP I will have done in the past. And by the time
I don't know when I'm gonna edit this, so maybe.
Yeah.
so
but
real.
I was talking specifically. Someone asked me about two things that have been done in actual plays, or in Vampire specifically, that I really liked. And the two things that I picked were when you shot the security guard,
Yes.
and then
Strong choice.
Love bold choice.
I was talking about your choice to make the person who Ray was be the kindred that is the worst thing for him.
100%.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Being a gangrel instead of adventure.
Which is which is weird because it's like, and a lot of people did bring this up. It's in the book.
Yeah.
Like it's like corporate gangrel is there, and then
But no one does it, or at least not recently.
Yeah.
Not as a shark.
Jumping off of that very quickly, because I told you this at the Halloween party, but I have to say it on camera. The obstacles you gave to Ray.
Okay, no, hold on. I want you to stop. I did not organize this so that people could tell me how good I was. I organized this so that I could tell my friends how good they were. And so far, I've been doing a terrible job of that.
Compliment us more
I'm
later
gonna
and
keep,
take what
I'm
you
gonna,
get
I'm
now.
gonna keep going though. The obstacles you gave
You have
to
the floor.
Ray, were so delicious. You constantly that first scene where you're picking a fight with Richter, when you get kicked out of the window,
Defenestrated.
when you
Learned a new word.
ring, when you go into the ring and become a shark.
Yeah.
When you betrayed us to the Camarilla and you constantly were getting in your own way in a narrative way that you were
so
thinking
annoying
about.
to Isaac.
Yes.
And that's how you know you're doing it right.
It was just so. It was especially now having had 3 years to think about it. It's just such brilliant gameplay and such gifts you gave yourself that then you gave to us.
I've DM'd a little bit, I've DM'd home games, and it becomes a thing of you make a character that, as an NPC, you make a character that the other players can overcome.
Yes.
Yes.
And so, approaching building a character, I was like, oh, this is not different. You just, you make something that is easily overcome, and it still tells the same story. So I did find myself a lot of times going, when something would reveal, I'm like, oh, here's how the story would, oh no, wait, I'm a player. I'm supposed to be solving.
Yeah.
What if I don't?
No, that's great. No, I love that. And
yeah.
that was very much something that it was great about, because one of the things I wanted to do, which you all made very easy, was because of the situation, the way LA ended up being and how so much of LA's plot was not necessarily around Jasper, but around things that I had written in my backstory and things that I had put as far as lore sheets into my character, i.e. the labyrinth.
Yeah.
And shit was all stuff I put in my character became major parts of the series.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that again.
Right.
So I wanted to live in everyone else's
So we
story.
all came to live at your house.
Well, that was the thing. I made a character who had a house.
I love that.
And I was like, I want Isaac to live within everyone else's stories and everyone else's problems, and I don't want him to be the focus of things. I want him to fuck with everyone else's backstories. And then you all came with these insane stories, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go.
We're moving in.
I also regret not feeding off of you when you offered. I know you were gonna stop me. But I regret not having tried.
You know what's really funny?
Because I wanted to set.
I would have absolutely stepped in, and that would have been the moment Fuego fought, and you would have seen her actual very good fighting stuff.
Oh, you'd have stopped me?
I would have choke slammed Sarah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
There is a part, look, whatever, spoilers.
Oh,
we can
yeah.
get into it. Fuego was incredibly territorial. I almost got it. I had to have a side conversation with Jason, and was like, oh, I'm going to absolutely get into this with Sephi. Sephi's a good friend that I've played with a bunch.
Sure.
She's also built to be what Fuego wants to be. Far enough down the line, and she is adventurous enough to go I'm going to go take it.
Yeah.
So what are we do? How important is she? because either I'm gonna go get her or I'm gonna die.
Right.
And we had to have conversations about it. So yeah, the moment
Now
we
I
would have
really
made that
wish
move,
I had done
yeah,
that.
the moment you made that move would have been like, so anyway, here's how my stat line.
God.
This isn't kindred
No,
stats.
there
This is
were-
I'm from the Bronx.
It was, and the entire opposite reason Isaac would have tried to stop you is because he wanted everyone to be blood bonded to him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Like that, he was just like, no, don't do that to him.
Not him.
Yeah, you can be for me, it's fine.
That's what I was gonna say.
You know
like,
what? Fuck it. I'm saying everything.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
character's biggest secret, and the thing I wanted to play with the most as a venture is power play. Like, and
Yes.
everyone walks into Vampire. Not everyone. Lots of people walk into Vampire and go like, I want to I want to have a story about power and the climb in it. And for me, again, like whatever, just old fuddy duddy that's played a lot of games is it's only interesting if you can lose it.
Yeah.
So she was a Ventruth, and I went through it. Every flaw I picked was like the worst ones. I like when we were doing our character gen, we had a little conversation about it. Jason like reached out several times. And was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Fuego's like main flaw was bond slave.
Yeah.
One sip, full bond. Full
Wow.
bond. Yeah. And so that was the really fun thing is like the more she was sinking her hooks into Ray, it was always the like, hey, whenever you want to reverse this, one drop.
Well, and that's
And it completely changed it.
narratively, I was like thinking I'll set that up because I can like.
And you knew about it.
Yeah, because I knew about that was on her sheet, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay,
that's the thing you don't
I can
surprise
start
the
telling
group
this
with.
story here, and like, oh, this will just be a thing that everybody does. They drink blood from each other. We'll start to find out about bonds this way, and either that'll inform you before this becomes a problem. Or it won't, and it will literally depend on whether you get bonded in this moment or not.
That scene was the closest Isaac ever got to losing his cool. Because he was he's like, this is going somewhere I do not want it to go.
Yeah.
Like he was immediately like, no, we're not doing this. We're not going down this road. This is not how I wanted this to happen. Like, it was, and that was the thing is like with Isaac, he had my two highest stats were it was composure and whatever the two things that deal with willpower are.
Yes.
Like those were his highest stats, and so I had willpower through the roof.
Sure.
Oh my god.
Which is useful.
So I could just burn it all the time. And just be like, I'm just gonna burn these to reroll. I'm gonna burn like that was because also those fuck, it starts with a V. I don't remember what's on the character sheet. It's fine.
Vicissitude.
No.
We wanted to be
Like that's the only
No, it's the other one that
World of Darkness
no,
word we know.
no.
Yeah.
I have to look at it. It doesn't matter.
Shit
It's two of
mystery.
the attribute stats. Anyway. But that was a moment of you all got so close to moments where Isaac was going to start doing things that were completely unreasonable just to stop you from doing things. And I would have, if I kept failing, I would just burn through my willpower until I had none of it left. Like I was going to waste it completely on just re-rolling failed rolls over and over until he got what he wanted. But it was going to translate into him just dominating over and over and over again until he burned himself out because he couldn't get what he wanted.
He's gonna throw a tantrum.
Yeah, he was gonna throw a tantrum. As soon as you all didn't do what he wanted, he was gonna throw a tantrum.
That's amazing.
And the thing is, that
But
would have been
you always got close, but never went right.
Yeah.
I think that would have been poisonous in season 1.
Yeah,
Sure.
But
That's the other
definitely was
thing.
the
For
the
like
future.
setting up the like.
But now, the thing I've learned
Yeah.
is you should treat every season like
As
it's
if
the
it's-
last fucking one. If you burn through all your shit, make new shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's true.
Yeah, that was the thing that Isaac had that never came up, that probably may never come up, is I have a folkloric bane.
Right.
I can't go into people's houses unless they invite me.
That's so
Which is
fun.
why I never went to any of your places.
For the record,
I don't have a
Fuego had a
place.
very
I don't
cool
have a place.
place. I was like, I have so much money. No, let's go hang out with Isaac.
We were all just like, we were well
all
off enough.
loaded.
You literally have to
I
have
live in
a dozen
sleeping bag.
places.
Yeah,
My
I
God.
sleep in the subway. I sleep at my little homie boys' houses.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
Staten Island Ferry. I
There
got
you
a bed
go.
for you.
Oh,
Which
yo.
would, and I never wanted to go to anyone's house because it would show a weakness in Isaac that he had this folkloric bane of not being, because of based in the Zamitzi politeness thing and the whole I cannot enter without
it.
being explicitly invited. It just never came up.
It was so good though.
And then
sad.
to sort of wrap it up a little bit.
Well, so wait, hold on. Before we do that, can we like just move on just a little bit from season 1 to season 2 and talk about Bron?
Oh
my gosh.
Like, if we're dropping all of our tea.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You want to have a conversation?
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it?
I was very excited for Bron as a character, and like Alex, I was coming from playing X, the Malkavian in LA by Night, and so I wanted to do like the complete opposite sort of thing.
That was another of the scenes that I talked about on that thing.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
absolutely loving for me playing in was our scene at the end of
That's my favorite scene.
LA
That's my
by Night,
favorite
where we're putting you in the ocean was like.
And it's like an actor's
good.
gift. Thank you. But yeah, Bron was so much fun to discover. Both as like a traditional like masculine guy. I'm out here talking like this the whole time. But what I wanted to do for sure was keep that he was a queer man.
That scene with you and Steffi.
Oh my God, that's
I
so
love
good.
Shut.
And again, because I knew Steffi so well, and because we're both queer, like we could breach that with a sensitivity.
Yes.
that we
So
could
good.
understand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was great. I
I
was so happy you two were doing that.
Yeah.
So good.
And so in the future, I wanted to keep that alive, and without getting attached to like an NPC, I was flirting with the idea of maybe having another romance.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit.
Because I wanted to check in.
Yeah.
And that's how I know me and my Anna are best friends. Because, like, when I first heard about this, I think I made the exact noise. I was like,
Which I think that would be interesting for us.
oh my God, it was
if you
so
really-
fun.
Yeah.
We played so much. We've been wives.
We have been wives. We've been wives. I've been your patron. I've been everything.
Well, and we had talked briefly about it being Isaac and you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we both decided this is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also for me personally, I didn't want to force you into a romantic
Right.
scenario since you had dealt with that in LA.
Yeah,
by Night,
Yeah.
like a
and
main
I
storyline.
wasn't really where I wanted to go with Isaac, and I
knew
was
that.
very upfront with like, if we do this, this will purely be an abusive relationship,
Yeah,
and Isaac
yeah.
will be emotionally abusing you.
Right.
And then we were both
Which
like,
I'm fine with.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
But then it was
Yeah.
like,
What's your
maybe
kink?
not. Like,
Okay.
let's not do that.
Also, deeply sorry to any Seraph Isaac shippers out there. It was never gonna happen. It was never gonna happen.
No, my fanfic.
I mean, it might have happened. It
might
just
have-
wouldn't have been
3
good.
chapters. It was a work in progress. Damn it.
It would have been deeply hurtful.
It would have
It
been
would've
so tragic. It would have been tragic.
Like-
I did low key was like, maybe this could happen, and it would be so tragic.
It would be
Right.
so. It would. Oh man.
Well, you've been throwing
terrible.
this idea to Joey.
Also,
I
I'm
was
never
like,
going to tell you what's on the 3rd floor.
I was gonna ask.
I was gonna
find
sneak
out.
in episode 1 of season 3. I was gonna sneak into that.
Yeah.
We
What do I
joined
see?
Seraph coming in the window.
Oh yeah, I'm Spider Girl. Half of Seraph's build is just Miles Morales.
Right.
Yay.
It's just
You can tag
graffiti,
anywhere. Yeah.
can
Yeah.
climb really high, runs
So
really
good.
fast, is mixed race. Yeah.
Is mixed race. That is on the list.
Yeah.
But
Sorry,
go
before
ahead,
we
Bron.
like
Go
before we
ahead,
finish
Bron.
this up, I just want to say really
Yeah.
quickly. I remember when we had that conversation about like just like PC romance in general, and you explained it so well that there was a part of my brain that was like, this is absent any of my conceptual understanding of Fuego and her desires. Abria, the person who like I was like, I've never wanted a PC romance more than when you're like, if it happened, it would be abusive and not good. And I was like, I can
Amazing.
fix you.
Yeah, I can fix you.
Incredible.
Well, this is
I have whole therapy right now.
But yes, but as far as
yeah.
Bron is concerned,
Yeah. Bron
and Ray.
it was just
Oh
a very.
Right?
I love that idea.
Yeah.
And that we had a sort of connection where we had the pit fight, like
Yeah.
went
Which
both
you
ways,
won.
which Bron had won.
Punch, kiss.
Yeah. Also, don't come at me for the dice rolls. I was using potence and it got confusing. Whatever. But I won fair and square. But yeah,
I could completely lie about my dice and they'd still be like
Sure.
all
It
wrong.
was horrifying to be next to them. I was like,
Yikes.
don't show my dice what your dice are doing.
There's a scene where I
pass it
bust
over
up
to
laughing
CV.
because of your die roll.
Nine dice.
So, yeah, then I just
Nine dice
it was one of the few
special
times I
dice.
broke as Isaac. I just started laughing because I was like,
Yep.
"That's an insane roll."
Yeah. I remember. I think I made like a face that was like,
But yeah, no, it was
God.
that. Like I loved your portrayal of Bron. I
Thank
thought it
you.
was so much fun.
Yeah.
And, like,
So good.
I know.
I would have sad
happen.
to not be
wanted
friends
the
with you.
crossover. I
Someday.
wanted it so
someday,
bad.
you know, it's still in the
Could
works.
happen.
Still
Yeah.
the works.
Still happen.
Still the works.
You took like a stereotype and made them so nuanced.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that
thank
was
you.
what was
Yeah.
beautiful
Yeah.
about it.
Well, and it was such a departure from like what I had seen you do as X, because like I think LA by Night was the first time I'd worked with you.
Yeah.
Like we had
known each
we had
other.
known each other socially, but then
Yeah.
like when we started LA by Night, I was also filming a movie
Right.
a million years ago because I'm old, and it was.
I was there too.
I know, but
Don't make us old by association.
we did the first episode of LA by Night, and then I could not be at the second episode, and then I could be at the third episode, but not the fourth episode. And so it was this whole thing of then we got you to come in to cover my spot, and then
a good
that
intro.
was what introduced the idea of how we did guests on LA by Night.
Right.
We had
That's
not
amazing.
planned to do that until
my
that
God.
moment, and then you blew everybody away with your portrayal of a Malkavian. So then to see you come in and play a Nosferatu that was so different from the Nosferatu I played.
I wanted
was
to
like-
be different than Jasper.
Yeah, which was so
but just
cool.
as hot.
Leading into a question.
Canonically, Braun is hot.
Canonically, Braun's very
That's
hot.
hot.
And canonically, Jasper fucking sucks.
But Isaac is also
trying to
hot.
tell me my business.
It's in the eye of the beholder.
But
Who sucks
yeah,
more,
tell us the
Jasper
TikTok.
or Isaac?
oh
sucks
god.
Yeah.
Sucks more.
I know you
Fans
think they
wanna
both
know.
suck. Like they're both bad people.
No. Isaac is much worse than Jasper.
Really?
Isaac's
Jasper
bad.
was a
Who's
bad
better in
boy.
bed?
Jasper's a bad
Hey, it's quick
guy
answer.
because he has just no control over himself as far as like his emotions and his like his rage about things, and like he's a fucked up individual, and he takes everything possibly he turns everything to the worst like way of viewing a situation because he's so pessimistic about everything, and he handles things badly, but he is capable of caring about people.
Yeah.
Isaac is not. Isaac is inherently
empathy.
like empty inside, and he's just a weird robot of a person like he's an artist in a way that he is technically an artist. He doesn't feel his art.
Dang.
Like he doesn't feel
Dang.
things. And so he's just like, oh no, these people serve my purposes.
Got the parallels as well
Yeah.
between the art, the
That's what I was
art,
gonna say.
raw
Yeah.
expression, and then like calculated, like sculptural control.
And just being like, oh no, I make things the way I want them to be. It's not about how beautiful they are. It's how he doesn't care. Once he owns a thing, he doesn't care what happens to it.
Oh my god!
Like, it's
Dang.
But I did before we ended. There was a thing you brought up earlier that I want everybody to have to answer. We kind of are touching on it now.
Yes.
What is a thing about any character or your character that you want to clarify as canonically wrong
Yes.
or right
Yes.
that the
Oh.
internet has taken to somewhere?
Yes.
We've had 3 years to do interviews about these characters. We're gonna clear the air.
Yeah.
What's
Yes.
a question that you constantly get asked or that people get wrong on the internet that you want to clarify?
Interesting.
Okay.
Don't start with me. Don't start with me.
Okay.
Seraph is not the biological child of Argus.
Right.
Argus is a man who came over from Greece
Very
an
old.
indiscriminately long time ago. He met a woman who already had a very young daughter. He ingratiated himself. He seduced this woman and essentially grew up as a like pseudo father figure and also very creepy tutor to Seraph.
Yes.
It's the worst family ever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of have two. First one, Jasper's not hot.
For the record.
Isaac is.
You can say Jasper's not physically attractive.
Yes.
You cannot say Jasper's not hot.
Yes, Jasper
because
is not
monster
physically
fuckers exist.
attractive.
I'm
He's-
right here.
Yeah.
I'm right here.
He's horrible looking. But for the purposes of New York by Night, Isaac is. But no, I like.
I remember.
The glam up was.
Yeah, that-
Yeah.
The
Wait,
glam
wait.
up day was great. That was a great
Did that-
day. I got
is
to
it-
sit next to it. It was
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Didn't translate to camera as much. But I.
We felt it though.
We
It was
felt it.
striking in the room. Yeah.
It was
I
striking.
mean, I addressed the fact that I used Dominic Pro.
I mean, everyone wants to know what's on that third floor.
yeah.
What's on
I
the
know.
third floor?
Blow up dolls.
Yeah.
Just
all
and shake
vinyl.
weight.
Set the record straight. If Isaac had feelings in his heart, who would they be for?
Okay, so Isaac.
Or is
Oh.
this asexual representation?
I don't think it's asexual representation because I'm not. Sorry, I just thought of the thing that I need to clarify.
Con.
But it's not asexual representation because that is not a thing I was intending with Isaac, and it was just purely he doesn't care.
But who would he like?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of asexuals that are like that.
Yeah. But he.
I know a lot of
If he was
allosexuals
interested
are
in
like
anyone,
that.
I think it it was probably Angela. Was
Yeah.
the person he would have the most because it was
That
Makes
right.
sense.
the person who
felt
he
it.
made to protect him.
Absolutely.
Like basically, so also there was a weird thing is that I know at the particular blood potency Isaac is that he's not supposed to have 2 cools. That's why Michael sucks. Michael
He's
has.
great. He drove the car so good.
That's the only stat
the
he has.
favorite
goal.
He has
He has
no other.
nothing else.
So the way we did it with
Drive the
Jason was
car.
that I used the newer, better rules for ghouls for Angela.
Nice.
Cool.
And the shitty old rules for
I
Michael.
That's
that.
really
So
fun.
Michael has
So we can
shit
get
stats.
bonus, yeah.
Michael's
Yeah.
bad at everything except for driving.
He's a
Like
guy.
it's like he's just a dude.
You gotta have one.
Just gotta die.
I think I will clarify about Isaac, and the internet kind of took this away, was that a lot of people were talking about how I was playing Isaac and playing an autistic character.
Aha.
And that is not what Isaac is.
Sure.
And if you saw that in the character, that is your own thing.
Sure, sure.
That was not my intention, nor where I
Sure.
wanted to go with that, and I was not intending to represent someone with autism.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah,
That was
it's
not
a
what
good
I intended.
clarification.
Yeah.
I think it's
but-
important clarification, especially when you say
Yeah.
like this character is a monster and a sociopath.
Yeah.
You do
Yes.
not want to
Yeah.
like align that one-to-one
Yeah.
with any sort of neurodivergency.
No,
Yeah.
no, it was
Right.
not. And like whether he is or not, he does not.
Yeah.
That is not
Yeah.
identifies that, nor does he even remotely think that is a
Yeah,
thing, because from
100%.
his perspective, he's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's a supernatural
Yeah.
thing that's affecting.
Yes.
the
Pa-
brain.
yes, partially that. He was always a little like not caring as a human being.
Yeah.
Also, it never really came up that like he runs a protection racket for fucking a street gang.
Yeah.
We really didn't get into any of
Came
that.
up.
It kind of came up.
I was mad about it.
But
Oh,
yeah,
right.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
spent a long time. But yeah, that was the thing I want to clarify, is that I was not trying to represent someone with autism.
But
Yeah. That's very, yeah.
How about with Ray?
Yeah.
Who does Ray love?
the most.
Yeah.
What would you like to clarify?
Yeah, Braun.
yeah.
Get into a fight. Here's Ray Hope wins.
I would see that fight.
That's
Braun would
great.
get dominated, and then Braun would become your like
Oh
ally.
my god!
Like-
You're just like it's a sister act.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
mine now.
That is the beauty of it, is that like the dice will just decide,
Yeah.
and it'll be like this could go so many different directions.
Nah, Fuego's into it in a different way. I'm like, no, kiss him. I'm gonna
Yeah.
It's Zendaya and Challengers.
Yes!
Yeah! It's
Yes!
Challengers. I love Challengers. Sorry.
Should I hold
think
the
about
tennis
Challengers-
racket or put that down?
No,
or-
it's okay. It's
okay.
a symbol. It's symbolic.
Yes, good.
I got these churros. What
Oh,
do
yeah,
do you
there
want
you
a
go.
churro?
One, you gotta eat it. I think about Challengers once a day.
God.
deeply same.
I don't know if I have anything to clarify for the audience. I think you all picked up on the fact that that Ray was just a yelly asshole. That's his deal.
Can I? You can edit this out. Can I lore drop who your sire is? Because I know.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is Ray's sire?
I don't know if I'm gonna keep this in.
You can keep it. You
I
can
don't know
cut
if
it
I'm gonna
out
keep
if you
this in, but I went in for
He's
a
editing this.
meeting with Jason.
Story.
At the studio, like after we'd shot the first season, during season 2, I think we were starting to talk about season 3. And like Jason had his office with all his like whiteboards and stuff like that.
red string
and like,
murder
you know,
board.
books annotated and stuff like that. And I knock on the door and he goes, "Hold on one second." And like I hear him erasing whiteboards.
So funny.
A
and
picture of it. I hope. God.
and
Yeah.
so
like
funny.
then he's like, "Okay, it's good. You can come in." And I open the door and sit down, and across from me is a whiteboard that just has everybody's sires, including
Jeanneret.
as mine. And I'm like,
So funny.
Jason like sits down, looks at me, realizes I'm not looking at him, and goes,
The one.
"You're gonna find out eventually."
Oh man.
Amazing. That's a storyteller.
Funny, I
Like,
That
remember
may
that.
just be for us.
Yeah.
That was very
but
funny.
it's very funny. That's so
Do you want
funny.
a second clarification
Yeah.
in case?
Yeah.
Or did you?
Yeah, I mean, just like we never really, and I don't know how we would have ever explored this. Ray was a very calm guy when he was,
Yeah.
before he was turned. He was like prided himself on not losing his cool,
Right.
which was
And a people
kind of
person.
the thing that was frustrating him.
That makes sense,
Tragic.
and that's it, like because we speak aloud a couple times about like personal like capstones and like personal mantras, and the fact that yours was so specifically like beast avoidance and being yourself, that
Yeah.
makes perfect sense.
And then
Yeah.
embracing
Yeah.
that though a little bit over the course of time, that like like when you become the shark in the
Yeah,
fight. Like,
that's the thing.
That is you deciding that you're gonna accept that now. It's so great.
There was definitely like a paragon and a renegade path for Ray.
Oh.
Like he could have embraced like full gangrel, or could have gone like corporate gangrel, almost Ventru.
Right, and he would come to our side.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried. No, that was the thing. Is like, Isaac had no filter between him and his beast. It was just constant, like, whatever you want, let's go.
I love it.
Because it was.
You haven't steered me wrong yet.
Weirdly, the first time he had something inside him that cared about anything.
Yeah.
And so he was like, all right,
I guess so.
Yeah.
God, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Besties.
Wow.
Yeah. Fuego was the exact same way. She was like, wait, you guys say no to your beast?
I remember that. That's another great
Yeah.
scene. You guys, you try to fight it?
What? How interesting.
Is there something you want to clarify for Fuego?
I don't think it's like a clarification because I don't think anyone like was speaking to it, but like in the sense of like why was Ray so specifically like Fuego's problem? It's because that like struggle, like Ray's internal struggle of being like a person with their shit together and a smooth operator that's always at the edge of like losing their cool was exactly the scenario under which Fuego was turned into a kid.
Right. You're like living.
Yeah,
You're like
Rafferty
living it
was like
again.
a smooth older dude, and in that moment of like
I forgot.
passion turned a
Right?
corner.
Yep.
So like that's the thing that like has imprinted on Fuego. So whenever she sees versions of that,
like Richter as well.
yeah,
Right.
100%.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you can see the pattern if you like
I forgot
look for
about
it.
Richter.
The one like the
I also forgot Ray was
seduction she's in
older.
control of versus the
Yeah,
one
he had
she's
gray
not
hair.
makes sense if
Yeah.
you have
He
that.
was like in
as
his
a-
40s, right? Or 50s?
He was like mid 50s. That's kind of so.
Okay, you kept making him older and older throughout the season.
So
You're like
hot.
early 40s, mid 40s, early 50s.
The
but he
season
runs.
took a long time. No.
That week
So-
felt like a long time.
But this is actually, I watched episode 1 back and I realized that this is completely my fault because when Jason like tosses to us for the very first time, when it would be a logical time for everyone to introduce what they look like, I just start talking.
Hey, that's
and I'm just
that's
like,
new-
we're
that's
in
new kid
the, we're in the
101.
scene. We do
we
it.
all did that.
Yeah.
We didn't describe.
No. Like, yeah,
It was
we
later
Until
that we just-
Erica's
Oh, yeah.
van
and
scene.
it wasn't
That
until
was-
Erica's, but like you guys all joined in with me, and like we just
we're not
kept
gonna
on
make you
going
feel
on the
weird
scene.
And be like, oh, you didn't do
Yeah.
your thing. Anyway, here's what Fuego looks
No,
like.
yeah.
You fucking casual.
No, I know.
I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do that
like-
thing I do where I make sure in character I learn everyone's names.
Yeah,
What's your name?
but it wasn't until Erica asked, "Hey,
Yeah.
what is it? What
do they
am I
look like?"
seeing
Yeah.
here?"
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
I had a whole thing about Isaac that he was gonna be always like in like a white shirt and then like weird pants.
I love that.
And then I realized that we're at a table the whole time.
Yeah,
and it
you
won't ever
can't.
Your
translate.
fits though were so
So good.
Fits
Everyone's
were
so cute.
good.
Do you want to talk about the fashion? 'Cause
Yes.
I feel like Vampire sort of sets the standard for tabletop fashion as
Yeah.
common as that is.
What is it?
Your
Tabletop LARP or
suit.
LARP
Yeah,
top?
yeah.
Laptop,
Laptop.
yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's the other reason that people don't feel as like incentivized to describe their character.
'Cause
The
it's
implication is that you
Look like
Yeah.
your character.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very much like I wanted Isaac to be drastically different than Jasper visually, and I was very in. The problem is that Jasper was a lot of my clothes.
Yeah. Well, a clarification that I want to make that a lot of people don't know is that there isn't a costume
There
department.
isn't. We bought our own
oh yeah,
stuff.
it's all."
Brought stuff. We were like going over our outfits.
I know, we had it,
What do you
yeah.
wear? What are you gonna
For
wear?
I had a look deck.
It's
yeah.
like part of the fun.
Yeah.
I love,
I love it.
creating outfits and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bringing them to
Yeah.
set and then choosing on the day and stuff.
Yeah.
And also Jasper was easy because canonically he wore the same thing every day because
Sure.
he didn't care.
Yeah.
And he wore outfits until they fell apart or burned off of him. And so,
Which happened more than once.
yeah.
It's very funny that.
So with Isaac, it was a new thing of like, oh, I have to plan outfits.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't just pick one at the beginning of a season and then go, well, wear this till
My
it dies. So I did then have to choose outfits, which was actually very fun. And
It was
like,
so
but I
good.
wanted to have this kind of like Peaky Blinders-esque look for Isaac. That was one of the like looks-wise how I was thinking of very Thomas Shelby sort of look in my own way. But like, so that's why he had the suspenders and the white shirts. And
Did that
Great
stick to
fit.
what you were going to do next with him, or did you
he was going to
change it?
change. He was going to like he
Like
was
K-pop
going to
idol?
once
What
he
are we doing?
yeah once he got started changing the ability to change his own body. There was going to be different. Like it was going to get more and more sort of like this like idealized version of himself
Sure.
and like how he saw himself or wanted to appear.
Extreme plastic surgery.
Yeah,
Plastic
but
wrap
never,
and hot
but
Squidward.
never to the
Yeah.
point. I wasn't going to go to the point where like you see a lot of Zemitzi in like in fiction being like these monsters. It was like he wanted to be a idealized version of a human being. He was playing it being a perfect human being.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Was what
That's
it was.
interesting.
I remember I read somewhere, I think it's like one of the maxed out Samiti things, like you can become your house.
Yes.
yeah.
That you
but
like-
that was never where
Yeah,
Isaac
no.
was going.
Yeah.
That requires a different set of disciplines that I was specifically not taking. Because that requires animalism and a whole thing, but you become one with the land.
Yeah, one with the land, that's
Yeah.
what it was. Yeah.
Where Isaac was going was into the more, I can't remember the official name for it, but basically it used to be called a war form, which was basically I would have a monstrous
Like spikes.
form that was completely like folded up inside of me essentially, and anytime I could just basically go and turn into this monster,
I love
and it was all based on spiders.
Yeah.
So I was immediately then would have a bunch of legs that all come out and like all these like
Do
pointed
that.
things. But it was a thing too. He was going to become this. What
the
he was on the
spider hot?
inside was going to be what?
Is the spider
Nothing.
hot?
Yes.
Yeah,
You know,
probably.
it's giving
So
other
it was the
mother.
reverse. It was I wanted to do a sort of a fucked up reflection of what Jasper was he was the monster on the outside all the time, and I
Yeah.
wanted Isaac to be perfect until he showed you what was
Monster on the
inside of him.
outside.
Yeah.
Oh my
Little
god.
Trojan
The original concept I had for Isaac was also that he had his entire insides were black, so he was going to have black teeth, and his tongue was going to be black. But then that borders on some things with I forget what it's called. There was the geisha thing where they would have the black lacking teeth and the whole thing, and I was like, I don't know if I want to tread close to that, and
Yeah.
like so I left that alone. But stylistically, I wanted him to be rotten.
He's
inside.
a
Right.
black hole.
Yeah, he wanted everything inside of him was rotten.
There were
so his
times-
teeth were black,
Love
his
that.
like everything.
Just
you
with
know.
the lighting and everything, there were times where your eyes would just get like so black, and I would just be like staring right at it, and I was like, "Wow, this
How
is
about
crazy."
for Seraph's fashion?
Oh my
Yeah.
god, it was so much fun.
Yes.
I was going for like a division thing, so like she has that black white sweater in the first.
I think about it
Yeah.
all the time.
Really?
That's what I was doing with Braun because of his Two-Face
Oh
thing.
my god,
Yeah,
that's so cool! Wow,
I know.
tragedy.
They could have been besties.
Yeah, and
They
then like,
really could.
and then it was a lot of black and white. So she has like the black denim jacket. She had the white marble underneath to also allude to her hot upper class past.
Yeah.
And then I started to, as she became more ingratiated into the vampires, I added purple into the color palette. Mm-hmm. So
Well,
by the
all of-
end,
Yeah.
yeah,
all of
yeah,
you
we,
did.
yeah.
I think I
oh
wore
my
purple
God.
shirt once.
You-
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so wild.
Mine was triggered by Rafferty's, like the Rafferty's gift was purple, and I was like, oh, she's gonna switch it
Ah.
out. Yeah.
Subconscious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like a little bit of street style, a little bit of like sophistication, and constantly walking that line. We both had different eras of Rihanna.
Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah.
Like, which Rihanna you? I was like, fine, I'll be blonde Rihanna.
Yeah, because I was
God.
side shave Rihanna.
Yeah.
You were.
I started with side shade Rihanna, and I was like, fine, I'll be blonde Rihanna, and I'll
my
get the world's
God.
worst wig.
And now she's like
It's gonna be
side
great.
shaved blonde Rihanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things we could have done. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up with Braun was a rejected thing. He did have I wanted his Nosferatu manifestation on one half of his face.
So cool.
As well as a pointed ear.
Oh,
so at
fun.
one point I had a prosthetic elf ear, but it got nixed because it looked too elf-like. So I was like, I wish that would have worked.
Some of it
put a
just
little
doesn't-
pinch, just a little pinch.
Right? One of
Little
the
pinch.
when we exposed, because I had the hat, like the
Yeah.
snow hat. When we did the backwards cap, we exposed
cool.
one ear, and then the makeup artist Diana, who's incredible,
She's amazing.
tried to sculpt it to be pointy with black makeup. Didn't really work. Yeah,
That's
it didn't
fun to
register,
try.
but
It might have been a pointy ear at one point, but then through all the boxing,
yeah, exactly. It was a
Cauliflower ear,
cauliflower
dog.
ear.
Cauliflower ear,
It
that's
became a
so
normal
funny.
ear.
I'm punching you into normal.
way.
if you punch it just the right angle.
Oh, I just remembered something.
Do it.
What?
That was going to be the whole thing, is if you and I ever met,
Yeah.
I was going to promise I could fix
That's
you.
what it was. That's what it was.
That's
You were gonna make me look
Knowing
beautiful.
full well Zamitzi Institute cannot fix the
Yeah.
Nosferatu curse.
Yes.
I was going to continuously promise you that I could fix your appearance.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Because I was gonna be one of those circuit gays. I'm gonna be beautiful. I'm gonna be a go-go boy.
A go-go boy. And it was, every morning you were going to wake up and you were going to be back to the same because it would revert.
Ray's fashion had the
Yes.
suit built
It's
in.
honestly
Yeah.
my favorite. Like, everyone looked incredible. Like, your commitment to Ray's suits was the thing I
So
would like
You have
giggle
so
and kick
many
my
suits
feet
You
about.
sent us selfies.
Dog.
You sent us selfies in advance.
Yeah.
I would like to talk to your
I-
wife and be like, yeah, what a cute jacket. Like, we were so into it.
So I bought so many jackets for season 3, you guys.
I started buying stuff for season 3 as well.
I did too.
I literally, I have
That was
some.
We could still do it.
I
Yeah.
have crazy hoe apparel.
The one that I have for season 3 that I don't know if I'm gonna wear or not. And if people see it and catch it, you either know what it was or you know because of this. I did buy Nanami's tie from Jujutsu Kaisen, but like a subtle version of it. I was
is it like leopard or?
it's kind of leopard. Yeah, so it's
stripy?
kind of like got an animalistic
around your
thing.
neck.
And the
Sorry. Having a normal reaction, keep going.
yeah, oh,
like
there's
the normal amount.
touch
I
of
love it
Nanami in,
there is.
for those just realizing.
There's a touch of Morton Solus and Isaac, but that's the different thing. Maybe
But
just
like
the way he talks.
the style started to go a little kind of there was something going into the Camarilla of like they're never going to let me forget who I am, so I'm never going to let them forget that I know.
Yeah.
So it was always gonna be like
that.
animal print and stuff like that,
Yes.
but as subtle and as style
That's so
as
good.
I could do it.
Yeah.
So good.
And then Fuego, how did you approach that? And then how did it change, or did it?
It never really changed, like, other than, like, the slight palette switch. Like, my thoughts for Fuego were always around, like, I wanted to do a fire theme, but I didn't want her jewelry to be gold, so she had silver. I
like
really
that.
enjoyed doing the, like,
The lip stuff was
chain.
That was
Yeah, that was
really
so
cool.
good.
It was very fun, and there were so many tests, and they were like, "We don't think this is gonna play." I'm like, "Please just let me try."
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do full fangs. I just wanted to be constantly evocative of it.
Yeah.
I actually now have like
Fangs.
fang grill. That was
Ah,
gonna be
cool.
season
And you can
Love
speak
Yeah.
in them, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I had to like practice,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was
It's so
literally
cool.
like
Practice
yeah.
your fangs.
Yeah.
You have to.
You gotta
Practice
break
your
them
fangs.
in.
Otherwise, you sound like this.
Yeah, and you're like, hey,
Breathe.
wait,
I want to drink your blood.
I want to
True.
drink
I
it.
want to drink it.
But it was really fun starting in the like sort of Instabatty like Shein like
Yeah.
it's really funny. I was so physically uncomfortable on set the whole time because I don't dress like that.
Sure.
So I was just like, oh, I feel exposed.
It didn't. I did not.
Big
read.
wig,
None of us
weird,
knew.
very
not
feminine
read.
makeup, like little corset thing. And I was like, if I move, what happens? Like, I can't see myself. So
But we've seen everything.
everything.
Well, I've seen
So it was
that.
a really funny adjustment, and I was excited for season 3. Everything I got for season 3 was with the assumption that the moment Fuego was in the room with Rafferty again, her full blood bond would have kicked in, and she would
yeah.
have turned into a perfect camera.
Oh.
So I had like
That would have been
very
fun.
cool, like deeply
Corporate.
like tailored dresses.
Yeah.
Like it was gonna be structured
That's
and not
very
really
cool.
like business duty.
Like
it's
more
the
haute
like
couture?
it's the like gun mall
Oh.
sort of version of it. Like
Yeah.
she still plays in her bag, which
Yeah.
is like I'm going to exert influence from the side.
Right.
So it would have been like perfect sidekick
I-
outfits.
I also
every
had
time.
vivid fantasies about all the outfits we would wear to Argus's family dinner. I would have definitely asked all of you to come with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would have been like the affair.
Right?
Like,
Yes.
it was just
Yeah.
like full ball gown moment.
'Cause
Yes!
So I think the weird thing is that like we made all of these like any thoughts that we had on season 3 were on the assumption that it was literally going to be like the next week
Yeah.
in the story.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I don't think that'll be the case.
this is not for sure, but I'm pretty sure that if season 3 does come about, there will be a time skip.
Right, there you go.
So like
Yeah.
any
My hair's
of these
different.
plans.
I'm different.
That's
I
the
can
biggest
I can
thing is
afford a
like
good wig now.
Alex, you talked about how much you changed while playing Jasper, and Jasper was like informed from one place that you weren't necessarily at. We are all
Oh my god.
Very different.
talking
now.
about going
Yeah.
through like a real life time skip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild.
Oh.
And as someone who's like currently like go watch Dropout. I don't know when this is gonna air.
Yeah.
But like living inside of the like what happens when you honor a real world time skip. It is
Yeah.
difficult to conceive of to get in, but then once you lock in at the table, it's so good.
I
Yes.
love
Like,
that.
I
Thank
agree.
you for untethering me from the person I was
Yeah.
when I made this character.
That's
Yes.
it.
And that's honestly the hardest part. You're like, oh, I'm not in
Yeah.
the headspace I was in when
No,
I
that
made
like
Fuego.
if I ever play Jasper again, he will be different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can't be because like what I was when I started that character and even when I ended that character is very different from who I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just it
that's
will
good.
be it is good. And
It's
Good. It's good.
and it will just be very different. And same with Isaac, he will be different.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of going off of that then to sort of end this in a way, looking forward for Project Ghostlight.
Yeah.
What is it about like World of Darkness or Vampire that is drawing you to another project? And then what do you hope to bring for like a character that you could create in the future?
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, I will be storytelling.
Ow! Say it, eyes up into the camera.
yeah.
Do it again.
I will be storytelling Project Ghostlight.
Yeah!
Legally binding.
Yeah.
So I won't necessarily be making a single character, but obviously I'll be making all the other people you talk to. So the thing, a lot of opinions about Vampire.
Sure.
I've been playing this game since I was 14 years old. I love this game. But there's things, every storyteller is different. And like Jason has been my storyteller for most of my vampire playing career, or at least the longest out of any storyteller I've ever had.
Humble brag.
So there will be it will be different. This story will be very different than the By Night games. And it will have a different tone. It will be a different vibe. So I'm excited about that. There is also different things I want to explore with how I tell vampire stories versus how Jason tells vampire stories. And I'm also excited to get to that.
Yeah.
But, okay, what was the actual question?
Why vampire?
Oh, why vampire? Vampires are very important to me for a multitude of reasons. Played a lot of vampires, whether in tabletop or not. I think there's a lot of interesting stories to tell with vampires because vampires are a great examination of humanity, but also the lack of it.
Yeah.
And that they are a great example of the wolf in sheep's clothing
Yeah.
trope, I guess,
Which we encounter now
Yeah.
in life so
Yes.
often.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
it is interesting to me to, it is in at least in my experience and at least the way I look at it, is the only RPG where at character creation you make two people.
Right.
You make who you are as a human being and you make who you are as a kindred. And they are oftentimes, at least in the way I see it, they should be different.
Yeah.
Because when you are turned kindred, you immediately start losing grasp of your humanity. And then the entire game is about, do I hold on to this or not?
Yeah.
Right.
So that is something I really like exploring and why Vampire is so important to me. And also, I just love a fucked up game about blood. So
Yay!
It
Hell
quenches your
yeah.
sanguine urge.
Yeah.
I just like vampires a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
So how about you, Mayana? Coming into it now,
my
you've
God.
got experience plus experience in the actual play space.
Yeah.
What are you bringing into
Oh my God.
something like a new...
To clarify, we have not made characters yet.
We have
Right,
it.
no,
yeah.
no,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Or planning on bringing in.
I'm gonna get sappy for just 2 seconds, which is just playing this game with these people changed my life literally forever. I lived a different life before that moment, and like meeting all of you and being in this space has been just like one of the greatest joys of my life. So first of all, so freaking excited to come back.
Yes.
Second of all, I think Vampire as a game, I mean, like there are other tabletop systems where failure is possible and frequently happens, but I think Vampire is built on failure, and failure is the core mechanic by which it like launches you into a story that you don't want but need.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited to do that. I'm really excited to explore like, I mean, the idea of becoming a vampire is essentially losing everything and having to start over from zero.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested to try and figure out I don't know who they are yet, but like who my character is going to be and like what are the things that they lose and why do they need to like completely like leave that all behind and start over, and what is that starting over maybe weirdly a good thing?
Right.
Maybe the life they had before they would have been stuck in forever, and maybe they shouldn't have been. I'm so excited that in a weird way, like this
Fresh
horrible
start.
thing that happened to them is weirdly the thing that could jettison them into a new way to be, and a
Yeah.
new way that maybe wasn't possible for them before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super interesting. How about for you, for Joey?
For me, well, so I will speak from the production side of
Yeah.
things. And coming from like doing LA by Night at Geek and Sundry, and it being something different from what else was going on there, what else was going on in the world of actual play tabletop RPGs. I think that it's one step closer to a like live play
Yeah.
than anything else. Like there's so much less, at least in the way it was presented to us, which is, through LA by Night and through Jason's storytelling, it's got it has so much less above board talk,
Yes.
so much less talk about like mechanics, and the drama comes from playing characters
Right.
in a way that like so few other RPGs have, and that's what keeps on drawing me to this system for sure.
There's like a cautionary saying in a lot of these spaces that LARP is not a spectator sport. It's something that you should experience and go, and that's why it's live
Yeah.
action. But there is this urge to capture it, to capture that feeling,
Yeah.
that bleed or whatever, and share it with an audience. And
Yeah.
I think that
Well,
touches on
and
it.
since there is a vampire LARP system,
Yes.
like the tabletop game is that like
direct-
step towards it, letting it be a spectator sport for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, TTRPGs is sports plus theater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
live aspect of watching it together.
And I win.
And then how about for Abria, like approaching vampire from another perspective? Like what are you
Yeah.
looking forward to?
I think the most interesting thing, like, and it's been touched on a lot, is that like idea culturally of vampires is that like it's that wolf in sheep's clothing. It's also the thing you look in the mirror is what if I'm actually the worst version of myself? And I think like when we talk about the like high-minded like what do you do when you build a game or a character or a world in actual play or improv or anywhere else, you talk about like what's the lie that this character believes, what's the lie that
Yes.
this world believes.
Yes.
And I think the fun thing about vampire is to like look at that and go, what if you knew clearly and succinctly what you were afraid you were and then had it confirmed immediately? And that's where you like start from. You're like, oh, the worst thing I thought about myself is true. I'm that now. Do you start from that place and try to work your way back to the good person that you thought you were or
Right.
hoped you could be again? Or do you say, I'm embracing it and becoming something new? And I think it's that initial bifurcation and the idea that you can go like in either direction and they're both valid and they're both incredible beginnings to a story is like the fascinating thing to begin again with.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to like
Yeah.
get back into it.
Yeah.
And
Let's talk about monsters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Bring us home.
Yeah, well, I think for me, I'm excited to explore like a third character within this space, right? Something like maybe a clan I haven't played before, we don't see very often, or mechanic-wise getting into something.
Yeah.
But also like leaning into like another queer identity or something like that. Because I feel like for a lot of queer people, RPGs are the space where we
Yes.
explore identities for
100%.
everyone.
Gender,
Yeah.
sexuality.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely.
So I might play with that a little bit because why not?
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
It's play.
That'll be cool.
But make sure that you're subscribed to the Patreon to keep
Yes.
up to date on everything Project Ghostlight. You're here right now, so you've done the first step. And make sure to keep an eye out on everybody's socials because we're always working on stuff out in the world.
It's true.
Thank you so much for joining us on this little chat. If you feel compelled to ask any questions about season 1 or 2 of New York by Night, feel free to leave them in the comments and we'll maybe review them and do another one where we answer what you want.
Yeah.
But until then, keep an eye out for Project Ghostlight and we'll see you later.
Thank you for joining, guys.
Bye.
Just kidding.
Yeah, we're still here.
We're still here.